original data? Do those juicy stats really improve how you appear in AI? Let's find out.
All right, this has been a big narrative for a while that AI loves data, right? So this has been talked about as one of the best things you can do. Create original data sets, original research pieces, and then as people are doing the discovery, they're doing research around whatever problem they're trying to solve or whatever product they're looking for, they can come across this data and you become the source of truth, the expert. So I wanted to look at how this actually plays out. We're going to use med spas as the example here. Now, quick caveat. Anytime you're in medical, certain types of research will default to government organizations. FDA came up a lot. American Medical Association came up a lot. So it is worth, before you dive in and you spend a bunch of money collecting data and doing a research study, look up some things around that study in ChatGPT and see what kind of sources it's pulling from. If it's only pulling from government sources, maybe not the best one. But med spas, they do a lot of things that are perfect for this. So we're going to go over this prompt I ran here, which is, how far before a big event should you get Botox, filler, laser, or microneedling? Okay, so this is the real kind of research someone would do before they're choosing something like this. And a lot of people will do treatments like this before a big event, right? Before graduation, before a wedding, something like that. Probably before like a 10 or 20 year reunion, right? And you're seeing all your friends on Facebook and you're like, damn, they look younger than I do. So I think this is a very interesting one. It shows a clear blueprint for these kind of prompts. So ChatGPT says, for a big event, plan around when the treatment looks settled, not when it technically works. And I don't know if you've ever noticed how much ChatGPT loves the quotes. It just quotes everything. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Botox, it says 3 to 4 weeks. Gives a Y and it credits the American Medical Association. Filler, same sort of thing, 4 to 6 weeks. Then it credits the FDA. Then it gets interesting, lip filler. So you can see it's maybe lip filler is something maybe the FDA hasn't done an intensive study on, or the American Medical Association. Microneedling is the same. So lip filler, 4 to 6 weeks, gives the reason, and then it pulled this information from the med spa of DFW, Dallas Fort Worth.
That's
so
awesome.
Yes, you've got a business here that has created some unique data. You can see their post there is called Lip Filler Recovery Timeline and Swelling Stages. That's perfect. Microneedling, 2 to 4 weeks. We have Dermacare of Hampton Roads. The next one is RF microneedling. And then we've got down here some sort of resurfacing. I'm not familiar with that. Lone Star State Dermatology Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kind of things that you should be thinking about creating. Because if this is data you have, you can start to show up in here. And now we talked about this recently, that just because if someone's doing this research and they see this clinic in DFW or this one, another one in Texas, Lone Star State. If they're in California, that doesn't mean they're going to travel to Texas for the treatment. If they're actually in DFW, this is amazing, right? Like they're going to feel like you are the authority on this, and that's a huge leg up right there. So then they continue their research. They've already seen this company name. So then when they ask for, okay, who should I go for the lip filler in DFW, in Dallas, in one of those nearby areas, and it gives a list. If this company is in that list, they've already seen you, there's a great chance they're going straight to you. But now, they're not in this scenario, this hypothetical scenario, they're not in DFW, they're in LA. So how does that do any good? Well, there's a couple like downstream effects that this can have. One, this is the new way that writers are doing the research. So if someone's writing content on this particular topic, they now come to ChatGPT instead of Google. And so they see this. All right, so maybe they're talking about lip filler. They see this clinic has already done the research. If they want to use that information, they're going to cite this clinic. And with AI, they don't even need to link. If they cite it, that can be gathered up when it does the training data. And then that is going to help this clinic seem more authoritative. Now, I think this works the same way when ChatGPT does its training data as well. It sees this study and it associates that content with that particular service, right? So when you're looking at building authority in the eyes of AI models, it's similar to trying to do it within Google. There's certain things you want to have, right? You want to have like a lot of information about your services, about the practitioners on your staff, all of their credentials. Having this kind of data shows that you are, shows complete expertise. So as the training data is collected, it's finding these kind of studies and will have a direct impact later down the road on who gets recommended.
I think another benefit as well from a local perspective is that this is another place that you are being seen as an authority, and then having like high intent referral traffic. So in terms of like Google and the data that Google will then collect from that, if you're having like a lot of people come from ChatGPT to your local site, although
that's a great point.
It's not going to be people necessarily that will be ICPs. They might be from Texas or California, but they're going to come to your site. They're going to dwell. They're going to click. That's going to send good signals, which is going to improve your local rankings for when people make local searches. So that's like one awesome benefit. But then also what's like amazing is you've just done an example here for something which is very local. Like imagine the impact that this will have for national or, businesses that are able to offer services nationwide. If you find something where you can reverse engineer this much like you would have done in the past with Google, are there already data sources being referenced that aren't like government agencies? If so, wow, produce a study and get all of that authority and potential referral traffic for something which you can offer on a national scale. So it's incredible, really.
Yeah, that's two great points. The local one, absolutely. So if people are going to that study and they're reading it, even if they're not in your market, that does send the right kind of signals to Google. That is going to help your SEO. And then I think also when people are doing these listicles, they're trying to figure out who is the best this for that. When they do the research, if they see that you've written studies, they're more likely to include you. Maybe you go and pitch, like there's a listicle in your city and you're not included, and you go and pitch to them. Well, if you say, look, I've actually done some studies, here's my studies, like that makes you look more legitimate. Whoever owns those listicles, some of them are just pay to play, but a lot of them aren't. When we've done a lot of this outreach, with the big publications, there's an actual review process. They'll say, hey, we review this every quarter, every year, whatever it is. And they have you send over the information about your company, and they actually do a manual review. So if you are trying to get included for a service like that, Best Lip Filler was this example, and you said, here's what we do, here's the specialists we have on board, here's the studies we've ran around this, like that definitely improves your chances of being included. Okay, now moving on. I'm going to go over a few other examples of things you could run data studies on just to get the creative juices flowing. So the first one is patient concern data. So things like most common reasons patients book consultations, most common facial aging concerns by age group, most common body concerns before summer. So these kind of things can lead to really good data points when people are doing the research. So think titles like the Miami Med Spa Patient Concern Report. Well, when people are researching like, okay, what are the concerns around this? That could show up. Common concerns include and it would cite that report. And another example is what 1,000 aesthetic consultations reveal about facial aging concerns in Miami, or insert city, right? The first time injectable study, what patients are more nervous about before booking. So I think these are some easy ones that as people are walking through in ChatGPT, okay, what about this? So I'm concerned about this. Like, what do other people think about? Because people do want to know what other people think about in these situations, because they're also thinking, what am I not thinking about, right? The second category, treatment decision data. So people often ask things like, should I get Botox, filler, laser, or microneedling? So if you're a clinic who tracks these kind of things, patients came in asking about this, but they ultimately ended up getting this. Patients who came in asking about filler, but they ultimately ended up getting a skin treatment. Patients who were asking about Botox, but ended up needing volume correction. Can help people down that decision process. Like, I know I want to look younger, but I don't understand what will move the needle, what it actually is I need. And so showing that, like that decision process, how that plays out over a large number of consultations, could be really good data. So an example one could be Botox, filler, laser, or microneedling. What 500 consultations reveal about choosing the right treatment. So I think that's an interesting one there. What do you think about that one?
You can just see so many benefits of this. This in of itself can just be interesting stuff for like earned media from the study itself, couldn't it? But and then not to mention these things have a habit of like living inside of. You can see these things living inside of the training data for like the whole duration until the next round, can't you? If it's sticky and it's like it's liked, it could just be a small study, but it could just be like you could see it being just pulled out from the training data, so that you can see the advantages being more than just like the original intent. You could get all these additional advantages.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, the next one is review sentiment data. So this is one I think you want to be kind of careful with. You don't want to throw anyone under the bus. You don't want to be like bragging about how great your reviews are. But let's say there's a lot of research people are going to do around reviews. They want to know like who reviews well, like who has the highest reviews, but also reviews are where people dig in to find out other information, like what is the recovery timeline? Because people, maybe they see on your site recovery is 2 weeks, but they want to know what other people actually experienced. So some things you could look at: most common positive themes in 5-star med spa reviews. Now this would be looking at reviews across all the competitors in your industry. Okay, next one, most common complaints in 1 to 3-star reviews. Words most associated with trust: natural, listen, clean, professional, honest, not pushy. And which treatments get the most emotional language. So some study ideas: we analyzed 5,000 Miami. We're sticking with Miami for this episode. We analyzed 5,000 Miami med spa reviews. Here's what patients care about most. The natural results report: what patients mean when they praise natural looking filler. And the Med Spa Trust study: what reviews reveal about why patients choose one clinic over another. As you're doing that research, you can see how it could pull that kind of data. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, and then the last one will be downtime and event readiness data. I think this could be more broadly like symptoms and recovery data, but average self-reported downtime by treatment, how far in advance patients book before events, treatments most commonly booked before weddings, things like that. Treatment patients regret doing too close to an event. Some examples: the wedding and event aesthetic treatment timeline study. That directly fits into the prompt we ran earlier. How far before a big event should you get Botox, filler, laser, and microneedling? Now, rather than just an informational post, if you are pulling the data, the average self-reported downtime for those treatments, that is going to give that content way more weight. All right, I think that's enough examples. I've got more, but I don't want to ramble on this. But I think if you're probably in the industry, you should be looking to see what kind of research are my prospects doing. When you do that research in ChatGPT, what kind of sources are being pulled? Is there a good spot for you to create a study to start getting recommended?